Welcome everyone to my self-love series, and today we are talking about loving yourself through grief. And my guest today is Sharon Rosenbloom. You want to hear Sharon's story. Sharon's been through many challenges, and so we're going to listen and hear her perspective on self-love and why it's important to love yourself through self-love while you're still going through grief. So I'm just going to introduce Sharon Rosenbloom. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us today. So Sharon Rosenbloom is an international best-selling author of the book with Kids. She's a bereavement, grief and loss specialist. She's also a counselor, psychotherapist, hypnotherapist, life coach, and a naturopath. Sharon went through a trying time in her life. Her husband was diagnosed with cancer. She had 2 kids, a boy and a girl, and she was just getting on with life. And then 9 years later, the cancer came back, and unfortunately, she lost her husband. And so she had been on a journey of trying to find herself and trying to kind of get back on her feet. So I'm going to hand over to Sharon to kind of give us an insight into her world and how far she's gone and the experiences that she's been through and the importance of self-love and loving yourself even whilst you're grieving. Welcome, Sharon.
Hello.
Over to you.
Thank you. I'm not frozen now, am I?
No, you're not.
Great. Yes, as you've just said, I unfortunately lost my husband 18 years ago when I was 39. And when you get married, you think you're going to live a long, happy life together till you're 70, 80, 90. And I unfortunately lost my husband when I was 39. I had 2 young children at the time. My children were 5 and 7. And life wasn't easy for me even before losing my husband because my son has got special needs. So he was 5 and he's got autism, dyspraxia, ADHD, learning difficulties and speech impairment. So it wasn't easy just being a full-time mum for Oliver. And yeah, Simon, my husband, had cancer of the pancreas 14 years previous to when I knew him, when he was 26. And he thought it was benign. He didn't realise it was malignant, and he had his pancreas removed, half his stomach, his spleen. And usually people with cancer of the pancreas are lucky if they make a year, 2, 3 is sort of like top. He went 14 years in remission, which is never been heard of. And fortunately for me and for my 2 beautiful children, he did make a long remission. But yes, he unfortunately started getting stomach pains. He was a pharmacist and he worked for Boots, and they signed him off sick with stress. He had his usual tests every year. He used to see an oncologist and have blood tests, and it was always all clear. And he even still had the blood test, usual blood test, and again it was all clear. And they did a biopsy on his liver, and it came back, the results came back New Year's Eve that it had gone to his liver. So Happy New Year to us. And eventually it went to his brain, and it was in the summertime. In fact, it's a couple of weeks is the anniversary that he died, unfortunately. And I suppressed my grief for so long. I suppose I was being strong for my children. No, actually, I don't think I was being strong. I was put on antidepressants. As my husband was a pharmacist, he said to me, Sharon, go and see the GP beforehand, because I was crying all the time and it was pulling him down. And they put me on antidepressants, and they kept me on them for 8 years. I used to put in for a repeat prescription every 3 months, and I got it and they never saw me. And yes, they kept me in a safe bubble, but I didn't need to be on them for 8 years. So my whole body felt numb inside. The only place I ever felt anything was my ankle. I know I'm going a bit sort of all over the place, but that was the only place I ever felt feelings. And 8 years ago, I had a malignant melanoma, and that was on my ankle. So I do believe that suppressed emotions causes dis-ease in your body. And I don't want to frighten anybody, but that's why I now say I'm a naturopath, because I studied homeopathy and I do believe in natural medicines rather than conventional medicines, because it's just like putting a plaster on something rather than healing your wounds. Grief is the darkest and most painful experience in life, and you have to go through the pain before you can move forward with your life. I do feel that everyone is unique and we all grieve differently. And I, just trying to think, I suppress my emotions with food and sugar. I've always had a sweet tooth, and I always used to say I was a chocoholic. But every emotion, be it good or bad, even up until last year, I fed. I put on 5 stone when my husband died. I did manage to lose it all, but I'm sort of yo-yo dieting like the majority of the world does. And I gave up sugar last year, and I'm just over a year sugar-free. And honestly, it's the best I've ever felt my whole life. I feel inner peace, inner joy, and inner happiness. And that has been a huge shift in me. I also, a couple of years ago, started some personal development. And I always used to want to try and fill my cup up with other things, be it food. Also, I was in 2 relationships, which again were just trying to fill my cup. I never loved myself. I was never happy in my own skin. And I suppose was in 2 relationships to fill my cup up, to love me, but I never loved me. And after doing a lot of personal development, I do now love myself, and I'm happy within myself. Don't need anyone else or anything now to fill my cup. I filled my cup. And I honestly saying this, when people used to say, oh, you love yourself, and I used to think, what are they talking about? But I honestly now believe I do know what that people are talking about. It is so important to love yourself first. And yeah, I couldn't be in a better place. I don't need anyone or anything now to fill my cup. So that's a bit long version of my story, but please ask me whatever you want to ask me.
So what would you say self-love is? Because people have a different definition of it, different understanding of it, and I just wanted to get your understanding of and your experience of what self-love means to you.
Yeah, I suppose I could never, it's not just loving my external body, because we've all got lumps and bumps and things we don't like. I've got a tummy, it's not those, but it's to love who I am. My body, I feel now, my body is my house. So if you don't like your house, you could possibly move or decorate it. But when you love yourself internally for who you are and feel at peace within yourself, which I now do, that is what I say is I love it's taken me a long time to get here, because I do lots of different things. I meditate. When I first started to meditate a couple of years ago, I've never meditated my whole life. And the lady that I was doing my personal development with, she sort of told us to meditate. And I thought, I can't do that. I don't know if you meditate, but I've never meditated. And she originally told us to do it like without any apps or anything, do like silent meditation. Again, I thought, I can't do that. Downloaded an app called Headspace, and it took me a long time to get into it. And everybody has thoughts in their mind all the time, 50, 60,000 thoughts a day we get on average. And even when you're meditating, you still get the thoughts, but it's how to get you out of those thoughts and come back to being at peace within yourself. And I now meditate every day. The same way as I'd wash my teeth every day, I meditate every single day, and I often do it twice a day, 3 times a day. I journal every day. So if I'm having bad thoughts, a bad day, I will just write down what's happening, what is going on in my life. So rather than having it up here, thinking about it all the time, once it's out of your head on paper, that is incredible. I eat healthy. I gave up sugar, like I said, just over a year ago, and all these things, putting toxicity in your body isn't good for you. I mean, exercise is also good. I'm not a great one for exercising, and I do love water aerobics, and when, of course, when the gyms closed last year, I really, really missed it. But any sort of exercising, it releases endorphins in your brain, which make you feel better. Talking to other people, all these things do definitely help you to come out of yourself and feel better about yourself.
So, you know, when you think about the deepest point or the lowest point in that experience that you had when you lost your husband, what was it that made you get up every day?
If I didn't have children, I probably wouldn't. I actually didn't want to be here anymore. My husband was diabetic, so I had insulin in the fridge and syringes, and I honestly wanted to give myself a dose. I just didn't want to be here. Thank goodness I did have children, and that was the only reason. I didn't sleep all night because your mind's going and going and going. So now I would have said, if I'd have known then what I know now, I would have said to myself, meditate, journal. But obviously I didn't know that, so I didn't sleep all night. And when it came to getting up in bed in the morning, I just had absolutely no energy at all. But I had to get out of bed to get my children ready for school. This last year, if it would have happened to me then, schools were closed. It must have been awful for people that were on their own during the pandemic. I can't even imagine how that must have felt for people that were grieving in the last year. Because I know for me personally, I did have support, but it was still very, very difficult.
So it was your children knowing that you needed to stay alive for them, and that motivated you to get up every morning. That must have been difficult.
It was hard. I mean, my mother-in-law, bless her, she's 89, but she lost her husband when she was 49. And one thing she said to me when my husband died, don't cry in front of the children. And I actually think that's totally the wrong thing to do, because if I'd have hidden my grief from my children, they'd have hidden theirs from me. And we used to sit down and cry together. My daughter used to have bad dreams, etc. And so we'd comfort each other. I personally do believe it's better to be open than to hide your emotions, because I did suppress a lot. And but yeah, it's very important to show your emotions, even to other people. I used to go shop. I'd take my daughter to school, and I'd go maybe to Tesco's afterwards, and people would, if they saw me, they'd walk up a different aisle. Or when I got out the car to take my daughter to school, people would cross the road rather than speak to me, and that hurt. And I think people just don't know how to react to people that's grieving. And all I wanted was just a hug and to be told, I'm here for you if you need me.
Yeah, I see that as well.
Yeah,
because they don't know what to say, so they just avoid.
And it is hard to know what to say, but just
Yeah.
if someone would have just said to me, I don't know what to say, but I'm here for you. Or just, I know you can't hug now, but if just someone to give me a hug, that was all I wanted. All I needed, yeah.
Wow. So, you know, so you've gone through this journey, and you spoke about you went into 2 serious relationships. How was that journey?
In the beginning, it was good because I needed the support with my son as well. And he was the first one I was with was a good guy. But I then just realized I wasn't happy, and I was just filling my cup up with codependency. It just wasn't right. So I did finish with that. I then had another relationship. I was living in London and he lived further away. And again, it wasn't right. And I was scrolling through Facebook one day and just saw, one of my friends had told me about somebody called Anna Garcia. And I was scrolling through Facebook and saw a sponsored post from her, and it was talking about relationships. I don't know why I clicked on the link, but I did. Anyway, she contacted me, a beautiful woman, and I've done her program ever since. She does a coaching program. And that's how I learned about the meditation and the journaling. And through doing her program, that's how I've learned to love myself and be happy in my own skin. And I don't need anyone else now, because I used to always say I didn't want to be a sad old lady on my own like my mother-in-law is. She's not sad, but she is on her own. But I now don't need anyone else to fill me up. I'm content and happy on my own. And it's society that says you should be with somebody. Because I was young, I was 39. People say, oh, you're young, you'll meet someone else, or kids will have a new dad. But the kids didn't want them to have a new dad. They had their dad, and that part of it was very, again, difficult.
Wow. And so you talked about personal development a lot, and it is something that I speak from the rooftop, because that's what really helped me in many areas of my life. And the things that I did not have growing up as a young person, I was able to get those through personal development. I think is very important, and it's not text, it's not classroom, text room kind of personal development. It's something that helps you to kind of rediscover yourself and find you. And so, when you speak about personal development, what do you mean exactly?
Like you just said, I found the true me. Me from with my heart. That's where I found the love, through doing this personal development.
Yeah.
You know, you sort of, it's hard to explain actually, but I've done it for the last 2 years, and I've actually just registered for another year because it is so important. My growth has been phenomenal since doing it. Really has. It's very hard to describe what personal development is, but it's, the best thing I ever did.
Oh, fantastic. And how did that now translate to you writing this book with kids?
Well,
what was
that
the
is
motivation?
another story. So all my life, when I was I hated school. When I was at school, I got 2 U's and an E in English. And I've always said I can't rather than I can. And so I thought, when I've told people, friends, my life story, they say, oh, Sharon, you should write a book. I can't write a book. I say, and I just laugh. And oh my God, I'm living proof that I can write a book. But the reason I decided to do it, so when I started my personal development, I was Miss Fearful. I was terrified of everything, including my own shadow. I live opposite a park. I wouldn't walk through the park on my own. I wouldn't go on a train on my own. I really was Miss Fearful. And I decided I wanted to become Miss Fearless. And there were 6 ladies that I'd got friendly with from the personal development group. And we were going to do a skydive together. Now, I don't know if you've ever watched I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here when they do the skydives. It used to make me feel physically sick just watching it. I don't like heights, and I thought, I don't know how I'm going to ever be able to do this, but I thought I'm going to give it a try. And I used to just say, as long as I'm attached to a good-looking man, I'll do it. That's my Anyway, long story short, one by one, the ladies all dropped out. They weren't going to do it. And I thought, I'm still going to do it. I'm going to do it on my own. Spoke to a lovely woman, and she said, you have to just fill out a medical form first. And of course, I said, oh, I'm fine. She said, no, we have to do it for insurance purposes. Anyway, long story short, but I couldn't do it for health reasons. I had a brain tumour when I was 26. I've had skin cancer and lots of other things along the line. But even if you've given blood in the last 2 weeks, you can't do it. And I was gutted, absolutely gutted, because I just thought I wanted to become this Miss Fearless. And I was just scrolling through Facebook, and one of my friends had written a book. And she said, does anyone want to be put in touch with my publisher? Now, I don't know why I said, go on, Amanda, put me in touch. Because I thought, I can't write a book. But I clicked on the link and said, go on, I'll do it. I'll put me in touch with her. And hey ho. And I know it's my soul's purpose in life now to help others that are going through this darkest, most painful place. And you can move forward in life and come out the other side. Because I never, ever thought I'd be able to see the light. I lived in darkness for so long. But now my surname is Rosenbloom. And I honestly believe I am the rose in bloom. And that is what I was going to call my book. But obviously it wouldn't have helped people that need the book. So that's why I've called it Widowed with Kids. But I honestly believe I am that rose in bloom now. I couldn't feel any happier, better in life.
Wow. So
yeah.
how important was you to be able to tell your story?
How important?
Yeah.
Very important now. I don't know why I got a light bulb moment, just thinking, I originally started to write, it would have been my husband's birthday last year. He would have been 60 and he was 41 when he died. And I just thought I wanted to do it as a tribute to him. That was my first thought about doing it. And then I got the light bulb moment that I want to help others. And I can now see that losing my husband has been a gift to me, so I can help others. I honestly believe this is what my soul's purpose is for in life. I had to go through these dark times to be able to help others. The same as people have often said to me, my son Oliver, his soul was meant to be for me because I was the right person to look after him. And it's been very challenging, especially the last 14, 15 months during the pandemic, 24/7. It's been hard work, but it is what it is. And hopefully soon things will change. But yeah.
You know, I also saw that, I read that obviously you're a bereavement and grief loss specialist, and you're also a counsellor. Was it your experience that motivated you to go into counselling?
No. It's funny because probably 14 years ago now, there was an advert in local paper just saying there was a charity looking for counsellors or bereavement therapy, people to help people that were grieving. And my friend, who is also a counsellor, she used to live opposite me, and she said to me, Sharon, why don't you apply? And again, I can't do that, I said to her. She said, of course you can. Did it, and they gave like a 6-week training. It was very basic. And I remember seeing my first client. I was absolutely terrified. But I came out of there. She'd been married for just over 50 years. And when her husband died, this is just another story. She was the happiest she'd ever been. It was a bad marriage, but she'd never shared it with anybody. So she got so much from telling her story to me. And I thought, wow, she's just shared something with me that no one ever knew. And I thought, I want to take this further. I then did my courses, and it wasn't the way I was taught, isn't the way I see clients. Because you're taught, you never say who you are, you just say your first name, you never tell them your surname, you don't tell them anything about you, it's all about them, which I do agree is about the person you're seeing. But I also think it's important to share when there are similar things. I think it's important to say, because sometimes a client will say to me, X, Y, and Z will happen. I'll say, or something similar happened to me, and then they can open up more to me than they would to somebody that you don't know anything about. Because when I saw my therapist many years ago, I often used to ask her, have you got a husband? Are you married? That sort of thing. And she would never tell me. But I would say to, if someone asked me that, I would say, unfortunately, I lost my husband. And so I do know how you may be feeling, or I understand what you're going through. So I do think it does help to share to a certain extent. So yeah, I'm a different sort of therapist.
Yeah, I understand that. And that's one of the difficulty that I had as well. It was more like, okay, this person is sitting in front of you, and there's no kind of, there is a level of, connection, but there's no connection. And I'm one of those people that I think it's important for us to tell our story. All through history, stories have been told. If they were not told and retold, we wouldn't kind of glean the wisdom and the knowledge from those experiences. And so it's important to speak your authentic story and say it how it is. And so I totally see that way of interacting with clients. Yes, and I wanted to ask you, someone asked the question, did you go through a phase of blame and unforgiveness while going through grief?
Gosh, the stages that you go through are immense. Blame, anger, guilt. I felt so angry with family, with friends. I felt guilty for my children. I blamed the doctors for not giving him chemo originally. Oh, immense. Everyone is unique and everyone grieves differently, but you do go through what's called the grieving process. And there's lots of different emotions and feelings you'll feel throughout it. But yes, and everyone goes through it in a different way. So yes, is the answer to that. Hang on. Yeah. Everyone will feel an immense amount of emotions and blame and guilt. Guilt was a big one for me. I felt guilty for still being a mum. I felt for being a mum and a dad to my kids. I felt like my kids still needed their father, and yeah. I also felt guilty for still being here. I actually felt he deserved to be here more than me. I shouldn't have still been here. I felt he was a better person than me. So lots of different, but yes. Yeah.
So did you feel a sense of, did you go through a period where you had to battle with forgiveness? And how did you overcome this? How did you overcome it?
Not forgiveness, actually.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't remember really forgiveness. Anger was a big one for me. Okay. I was angry with the world, including myself and including my husband. I was angry with him for leaving me. I thought, why has he left me at home with 2 children on my own? One very challenging child. So I was really angry with him in the beginning, which sounds awful because he was like the love of my life, my best friend, but I was still angry with him for leaving me.
And how were you able to overcome that emotion?
You have to just work through them, go through, feel it. Writing down your feelings now, I think, is very important. So if people aren't seeing a therapist, but to share it with somebody, and if you haven't got anyone to share it with, just journal it, keep a journal. However bad you're feeling, write it down, because once it's written down, it's out of your head.
Yes, totally. And so if people wanted to get in touch with you, if anybody else has a question, you can just drop it in there and I'll ask Sharon. If anyone wanted to get in touch with you, when I download our conversation, I'm going to put all your details there. So you do one-to-one coaching as well?
Yes, I offer one-to-one support throughout for however long people need it. I also do family support. So if you've got family or friends, and you personally didn't want the support, but I think it's very good for family and friends to have the support, to know how to be with you and how to help the person that is grieving. That is also a big one. And I also do a big thing for sugar and caffeine withdrawal too, because again, I suppressed all my emotions with food and sugar. So that's also a good one to get rid of the toxins out of your body.
Fantastic. So someone asked earlier on how they can get your book. They can get it on your website, on Amazon as well?
On Amazon, yes.
On Amazon, yeah. Okay, yeah. So definitely on Amazon.
If anybody does buy it, please leave me a review. Actually, if you read the reviews too, there's been some lovely reviews on it. So, but yes, it's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon. Fantastic.
But I am so proud of myself because, like I've said, I've always said, I can't write a book. But when we've all got, I never thought I had a story in me to share. But we've all got a story and it will always help somebody. And I used to say, I want to help the world now. But if I can help one person, it will change their world.
Yes.
So,
and you and I had a conversation on the phone a couple of days ago, and I was saying that, it's not for the ratings. It's just if one person can get a glimpse of hope, be encouraged, be uplifted, be motivated, just to carry on, find themselves and love themselves a lot more, and understanding that what goes on the inside always impact what is on the outside. You can cover it up with different things, clothes, money, but all the trimmings.
But it doesn't help how you're feeling inside. Yeah.
It doesn't, because
my son actually used to sit, because my son's got learning difficulties. So his psychotherapist said to me, he won't grieve for 3 years. And it was probably exactly 3 years when he started to grieve. And he used to say to me every night, he used to say, when's daddy ding dong, which means when's daddy coming home? And every night for 3 years, he said to me, when's daddy ding dong? So it was like a knife being stuck in my heart every night when he used to say it. And, you know, you couldn't say to him, daddy's died or daddy's not here. In fact, one thing, my mother-in-law said to him, daddy's gone to heaven, he's above the clouds, which is the worst thing you can say to children that don't have an understanding. Because it was a few years later, we did go away, we went to Spain, we took his carer with. And of course, the aeroplane went through the clouds and Oliver's looking out the window. And I said to him, what are you looking at, Oliver? I'm looking for daddy. Oh, and that just broke my heart. And again, it was another thing we did as well. The first year, the anniversary, I decided that we'd go to the park and let off a balloon. I took like one for my daughter and one for my son and one for me. And I got my daughter to write something on hers. And Oliver, my son, said, what are we doing? I said, we're going to the park for daddy's birthday. Well, of course, we got to the park and he's looking for dad. He's looking for his dad. So again, all these things, what you say to children, they sometimes think literally. And but I do believe, because many people say, but many clients I've seen over the years say they haven't told their children or they don't cry in front of their children. But I do believe to be as honest and truthful with your children as possible. Yeah. Because if you hide your emotions from them, they will hide theirs from you as well. So,
yeah, I think there's a question that says, would you advise parents who are going through something similar presently, present grief to the child?
I would just be as open and as honest with them. If they ask questions, to answer them. And if I would cry, I would cry with the children. But if they want to know anything, be as honest as you can. My son actually had both my children had play therapy, which is fantastic. They get to talk about their feelings through playing, but also drawing is very good, colouring. Because again, children would talk while they're doing these things. But one thing the play therapist did with my son, because he didn't really understand, she had a photo of my husband and she put a piece of tracing paper on the top and she flipped it up and she said, daddy's body isn't working, because they used to do like games with dolls and things in hospital and giving them medicine. And then she said, daddy's body isn't working anymore, but his soul has left his body. And again, he didn't really understand it, but I think for children that obviously haven't got learning disabilities, I thought that was very, very helpful.
Yes. So play therapy is one way of helping children come to. Did you have any discussion with the children at a point in?
I personally didn't, because at the time wasn't aware of what is the best for them. So again, I did. Yeah, like if I'd have known now, if I'd knew then what I know now, it wouldn't have taken so long for us to have moved forward with our life. And I only wish I knew then what I know now, if that makes sense.
So who's Sharon?
Totally different Sharon from what completely different woman.
Yeah.
If you'd have met me 2 years ago, you wouldn't believe I was the same person that I am now. Honestly, I feel inner love, inner joy, inner happiness. Couldn't be in a better place. And it's the best feelings. I'll tell you how this happened, actually. Sorry, just thought of it. So one day I'd done a course. It was when I was doing my life coaching training. And then we had a further course to go on. And there was a lovely lady there. And she used to be a nurse. She's retired. And then she does the essential oils. And sorry, excuse me. I'm very into those sorts of things. And I was just chatting to her. And one day she said, I'll come over to you. She didn't live far from me. We'll come over to you and I'll do the thing for emotional oils on you. Anyway, she said she had 6 or 8 different oils that she wanted me to smell. She didn't tell me what any of them were called. But she said, the one you don't like is the one you need. So I'm smelling them all. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. She said, no, I don't know which ones you like. I want to know which ones you don't like. And she gave me one to smell. And I went, oh, that's disgusting. You know, when it's really, really bad smell. Like, I went, oh, that's revolting. I don't want that one. That's the one you need. And then she said to me, it was X amount of pounds. I can't remember how much it was. I thought, I'm not spending money on something that I don't like. You know, it revolted me that much, the smell. It was that bad. Anyway, so she gave me a little sample and she said to me, I want you to put it on tonight before you go to bed and then put it on in the morning. And my mind's saying, I don't want to put that smell on. It's disgusting. But I did. So she told me to put it on my wrists and on my eyes, etc. And I put it on before I went to bed and I woke up in the morning and oh my God, I felt fantastic. Put it on in the morning, put it on before I went out. I was going on, it was actually one of my self-development courses. I went on that and I felt fantastic. The following day I messaged her, I said, what on earth was that oil? That oil was called Passion. And ever since then, oh, it's making me feel emotional now, but ever since then, I found my passion in life. So I'm a firm believer in all this woo-woo stuff, but I never used to be.
So I always asked every one of my guests this question. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be remembered for after you're done?
After I've done, for being the person that's helped people that were in the darkest, most painful life to move forward and find the light, see the light again. Because I never thought I'd ever see the light again. And I want to help people to be able to find that light again after being in the darkness.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being open. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for allowing us into your space. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I hope this does help some people that have been listening to us.
Thank you. I'm honored to have you on here.
Bless you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. So I'm going to download it and then I'll put all your details and also how those who are interested can, thank you. Someone said, thank you, Sharon, for your openness and vulnerability. Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. And I hope it has given you some support. And even if it's not for you personally, sorry, I missed the name of who that was. But if you know anybody, I've actually got a bit in my book that even if you're not grieving and you read the book, it will help people to move forward. But it's a wonderful gift to give to somebody that is grieving. And I'm not doing it to sell my book because, believe you me, on Amazon you make literally pennies. You don't make anything out of it. I haven't done it to make money on it. I've done it as a tribute to my husband and also so my children have it after we're both gone. And and to help those that are in that dark space. So
thank you. Thank you, Beam. Thank you very much for all the questions and interaction. And thank you for everybody that's tuned in. Till we meet again. Oh, sorry. How can you get the book? You can get the book on Amazon.
Yes.
Widowed with Kids. Sharon Rosenbloom. Widowed.
I'll just show you again, anyone that wants to see.
Widowed with Kids. Sharon Rosenbloom on Amazon. And leave her review after you've read the book. That'd be great. Only if you want to. We're not holding you to ransom on this one. Okay, Sharon, thank you so much. I'm going to end the live now. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.